App Planning for Success. Brought to you by Software Accelerator Playbook. On Instagram at S.A.Playbook. Today on the podcast, we are talking about how to grow your app like a seed. So when you're first starting, any business, any app, any venture, there's a ton of excitement at the front end, creativity, vision, what are we going to do? This is going to be so cool. And that is fantastic energy for getting you into the ring, getting the thing moving forward, getting you to make the moves that you need to make in order to actually start the project. But there's also a decent amount of energy that it takes once that kind of honeymoon period is over, if you will, that requires consistent energy forward as you are past that initial stage of you've got your logo, you've got your website, you've got the idea already shared with people, and like that initial honeymoon period is wearing off. There's still a lot of work to be done. More work in terms of finding the right customer, or dealing with the hassles with fixing technical glitches or whatever else it be, the type of stuff that isn't necessarily as fun to do, but that is required if you want to have a working project. So every single project is going to have its issues, whether whatever slows you down, whether it's going to be that you build the thing and then you're not dealing with many technical glitches, but then you have an issue with trying to get people into the app, or maybe you have people into the app but you haven't monetized it, or maybe even just on trying to get the thing built, maybe it's glitchy, whatever it is. I've heard a lot of stories from people at different parts of the process. Some people who have dropped $50K on an app and it works, but now they don't have any marketing budget left to try to get people into it. In which case, by the way, it probably would have been smarter to spend $25K on the app and then $25K on the marketing, or even more on the marketing if you can. And then also other people who have spent money on the development, but then the thing is still crashing or glitchy or whatever else it is, so they can't even get to the point where they want to share it with their users because the thing actually just doesn't technically work yet. But in any case, as you are sitting there at the beginning with an idea, and you kind of want to get a picture of where you're going and what's this journey going to be like, I want to kind of drop that vision of growing it like a seed, because if you put a seed in the ground and it does exactly what it needs to do, it still takes time for it to come to fruition. So let's say you plant an apple tree in the ground, and conditions are perfect, and the sun's great, and the water's great, and it's getting all the nutrients it needs. From the time that you plant it to the time that you harvest the apples is going to be a delay. There will be a delay. Even if you quit doing everything else in your life and all you do is spend time looking at that seed, or if you yell at the seed, grow faster, why won't you grow faster? No matter what you do, it takes time for the roots to grow and for the thing to bloom and ultimately provide you with fruit. So businesses are the same way. Now, if you've got $1 million to put in the front end and years of business experience, you can take turbo boosts through that process for sure. You can use money and be able to dump money and energy into speeding up a project. But more often than not, as you are trying to get something off the ground and you don't have endless resources, it takes time for those roots to grow. And even if you bail on everything else you're doing in your life and you devote yourself only to that thing, it still will take you time to move forward. So plan accordingly, meaning, if you don't have a strategy for making money with the app, then you're not going to want to just quit doing everything else and just focusing on the app. The money isn't just going to show up magically if you build a technically accurate app. There are many, 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 many projects that I've seen that are technically working and don't have enough users. So just because you build an app that will serve a purpose and will help people doesn't make it $1 million idea. What makes it $1 million idea is when the app is technically accurate and it's working, you have support staff that can support people that get on the app, and then you have tons and tons and tons and tons of users actually using the app. If you're missing any of those pieces, it's not $1 million idea. It's just, potentially $1 million idea, but it's not there yet. And so if you are, at the front end saying, this is going to be $1 million idea, don't forget that there's a lot of components that have to go right in order for you to get there. And growing like a seed, you've got to have the first customer, the 10th customer, the 100th customer, the 1,000th customer, and getting there isn't just a snap of a finger easy. It'll take time. Unless, again, if you've got resources and you can drop a decent amount on ads and you can get users in day one and or you already have a community of 10,000 people or whatever else it is, then in that case, yes, you are speeding up, you are speeding through that process, and the seed is growing faster. But as you're working on this idea, if you keep on giving it continuous energy, continuous sunlight, continuous rain and water, continuous nutrients, then the seed grows. And as soon as you bail on it, then it dies. It needs continuous energy over weeks, months, and even years to grow into a big, healthy tree. And what happens is a lot of people will get past that honeymoon period, all the excitement, right? All the exciting stuff, choosing your logo and what's the name going to be and all this and all that. You're so excited about all these things. And then you get to this period where it feels like a lull, where you've gotten past those fun decisions and now you're on to, more of the repetitive work or, looking for monetization or trying to get users in, or maybe there's something going wrong and you have to deal with it. The stuff that's not necessarily fun. And if you can't get through that period, if you can't still hold on to the seed, still give the seed the water that it needs, still give the seed the sunlight that it needs through that period, then the whole thing dies. Now, this is something that Seth Godin calls the dip in a business. The idea being at the beginning of a business, you're riding high, things are going well, lots of stuff happening, and then there's a dip where it seems like stuff is failing, stuff is not working. If you can get through the dip, if you power through that, if you work through that period and you don't abandon the project, then the seed is absolutely stronger. It has more roots in the ground now. It's a little bit more mature. More people have heard of you. You've developed better processes. You've developed, you've built it up a little bit. You've taken care of, this glitch or that glitch. Like you're making it healthier and heavier and stronger. If you can get through that period, what that really means is that you believe in it. You believe that it's going to be worth your time. And you're willing to put the energy in, and that's what makes the difference. The people that decide, this is getting hard for me, I'm done, I'm gone, they just took all of that energy that was there before, the seed being planted, the sunlight, the water, everything, and thrown that completely in the trash. And then if they start a new idea, guess where they're starting? They're starting all the way at the beginning again, and they've got to water now that seed, and they've got to put energy towards that seed, and that seed still needs time to grow. So you might see this a lot, and in fact, it's called shiny object syndrome, really is what it's called, where it's very easy to be looking at the next thing, excited for the next thing, and the excitement of seeing that shiny object is much more appealing than sticking with that same seed you planted that you're now past the honeymoon period and now kind of having to do the more annoying work or the more grunt work or whatever else it is. And then if you jump from seed to seed, you actually lose. That's the way to lose. So if you believe in your idea enough, if you are stubborn and you believe in your idea enough, then you will hold on to it long enough for the seed to grow and grow and grow through the period of what feels like a dip, through the period that feels, frustrating, and this isn't working, and this is, how am I going to find my customers, whatever else it is, whatever struggle it is that you're going through. Now, keep in mind too, you need to have a healthy dose of skepticism, just in entrepreneurship in general, to not just stay the same course if everything is, crumbling around you, right? I mean, I'm not saying, hold on to an idea no matter what it is, because in some cases it does actually make sense to bail on an idea. But there's no way to get to a healthy tree unless you just water it and give it sunlight for years. There's just no way. You don't get a tree in a day. You don't get a tree in a week, in a month. Maybe a few years you get a tree. Maybe a year it starts kind of feeling like a tree. But it's definitely not going to be this huge, expansive, beautiful, wonderful, magnificent tree that you can swing on, in a year or even 2 years. But if you can get past that period of time, having put that consistent energy like a laser beam, laser focus, or at least more focused than just all over the place, on this idea for years and years, time and time and time again, then you really set yourself up for success. Because all of those things you've got to figure out, all of those, how do I do this? And in this case, how do I deal with that? And okay, this thing was broken in the app, and how do I get through that? And now I have to contact customers, and now I have to price it, and what do I price it? And how do I get people to my page? And how all these endless questions, just being an entrepreneur, of putting the whole puzzle together, that takes time and strategy and continuous effort. And apps are no different. You can't just launch an app and all of a sudden people flock to it and then it's $1 million idea. You have to provide a value, and you have to strategize the marketing to be able to get people into the app. Or get an investor that knows what they're doing, that can then, take it and run with their structure, and then they know how to market it. So it's not necessarily that you have to do everything all at once, but you have to get the ball rolling enough that you can, convince somebody else that this thing is actually working and it's monetizable, or it's already got cash flow, it's already got customers, and that they should dump some money in and be able to really turn up the heat. But absolutely, getting to that point, there will be times where it feels really frustrating. There will be times where it feels like a downturn and this isn't working and what am I going to do? And in those cases, if you can stay the course and get clear on exactly what obstacle you're facing, get clear on exactly what you actually need moving forward to be able to make this thing a reality, that's going to be a huge advantage to you. Now, some people think that building is what's going to bring people in. If you build the thing, then the people will come. I always heard that phrase growing up, right? Build it and they will come. And I can't tell you how untrue I've found that to be in my years. That I've built tons of different projects and they have not come. They have absolutely not come. They have come when I've invited them to come, when I've talked about it, when I've shared about it, when I've created ads for it, when I've, been with somebody who already had a community around it, when, any of the things that actually invite people to actually use it, that's what actually brings people in. It's not building it. Building it is one total separate area, and then inviting people to use it is a total separate area. They are not interlinked. Now, can people find it on their own if you just build it and put it up? Yes, they can. But in terms of real volume, in terms of really getting a project moving, you need to have a community. You need to have, hundreds, if not thousands of people that understand that you're doing this thing and that are willing to try it. And that can also, build over years. That you don't have to do this all at once. But the idea being that there's the whole technical aspect of just getting the app built, and then there's the whole marketing aspect of getting people to use it, and they are two whole different beasts. And mainly on this channel, typically what I'm focused on is the technical aspect, but there's a lot kind of hand in hand with the marketing aspect that I don't want you to lose. I'm a software consultant, so I'm helping people, get clear on exactly what they need to build and really strategizing, the blueprint for what should be built, saving time, money, hassle in the process. But in that process and talking through, the plan and the blueprint and all that stuff, we are considering the marketing, right? As we're planning, how is this thing going to be built? How is this app going to be built? And what's the blueprint going to be? Well, we're also talking about onboarding and how do we get people in and how do we make it easy to get people in and how do we gamify getting people in. It's all together. It's all interlinked. And so if you just focus on one without the other, there's going to be trouble. And over all of that, if you take your foot off the gas and you decide, I'm done working on the technical part, or I'm done working on the marketing part, all of a sudden, this thing is just languishing and it's not going to move forward. You have to be willing to put energy towards it for years and years and years and years and years in order for it to be worth something. Now that may feel like a lot of pressure, right? If you hear that, years and years, oh man, what I wanted to do was just, launch an app and just make $1 million and bail. But that's not the reality of building a business. It'd be akin to just saying like, man, I just want to plant a seed and just like have a grove of apple trees and just be able to pick any apple I want. Like, okay, well you got to plant a bunch of seeds. You got to put a bunch of energy into it. You got to protect it. You got to, year after year, you got to make sure it's growing right. There's a lot of stuff that goes in. It's not a get rich quick scheme by any stretch of the imagination. So if it makes you nervous to consider that you might be working on this project for 2-3 years, then I would say that maybe it's not the right idea for you. That if you are thinking like, man, I don't want to be doing this, 2 years from now, I just want to kind of get my idea done and move on, then probably it's better to not start, because it takes energy and consistent focus to be able to grow that seed into something bigger. And if you're just gonna bail on it because if you're going after it just because of the money, if you're going after the idea just because you're like, oh, I just want money, freedom, and that's it, and this idea is fine, I'll just do it, then you won't necessarily have the energy to hold on when the project is in that dip. When the project feels like it's languishing or needs energy to move forward and it's not there yet, when there's a lot of glitches that you got to deal with, or when there's issues with the customer that you got to deal with, if you're not in it for the right reasons, if you're not at least passionate about doing it and really wanting it to succeed and really have that fire underneath you to say, this is going to succeed, I am going to make this work. If you don't have that, then you likely will not last. It's almost like going into winter, without shelter. Like how long will you last through that winter, versus just saying like, I'm out. Like I'm going somewhere else where it's sunny and I don't need to have a coat. you bail on it. You just decide this is too cold. I can't deal with it. But with business, you have seasons like that. There are seasons like that. Now, all of this stuff can be strategized around, right? If you're not getting enough customers, well, there's a million marketing strategies you can use to get those customers. So it's not like there's not a solution, but you still need energy to run at that solution. You still need, creativity and energy even to ask for help, right? I'm really struggling through this season. I need X. Can you help me with X? And then you just go looking for, that solution. That takes energy too. Even if somebody else is helping you through it, it takes your energy to say, this is what I need. This is the next plan. This is the next target. Let's go. So I don't want to discourage you here, but maybe just a little bit. Maybe I want to discourage you a little bit that if your idea isn't something that you want to hold on to for at least a year, if not 2, then probably it's the wrong idea for you, because I don't think you'll hold on to it long enough in order for the seed to grow big enough that it can actually start taking off. And I think that it doesn't serve you to try to run at an idea that you're not willing to really kind of put some consistent energy behind. It doesn't serve you, because then it's just wasted energy. It's better than to put that energy somewhere else, into something that you actually do want to hold on to for years. Because then that will actually grow into a tree from the seed. It won't just be like a mature seed or a seedling and then die. Better to take that energy, towards a project that you're not passionate about and put it towards a project that you are passionate about, because then it'll grow and grow and grow and grow. And then when you turn around in 2 years, you go, oh my goodness, look how far I've come. Look how many decisions I made. Look how many problems I solved. Look at how much I've built in that period of time. It's very easy to, overestimate the amount of work you can do in like a 24-hour period, but underestimate the amount of work you're able to do in a year or two. A year or two is a really long time, especially with consistent energy behind something, and a lot can change even in a few months. 3 or 6 months, a lot can change if you provide that consistent energy. So please take a look at your idea now through that lens. Is this something I want to be doing a year or two from now? And if the answer is like, oh man, I don't want to I just want to get the money and go, then I'd say that this is probably not the right thing for you. That I would be not serving you if I said that it's easy. Because it's not. It's not easy. If you want a seed to grow, it needs light and rain and water continually. Day after day after day after day after day, month after month. And then it grows. But it does grow. That's the thing, is that it does grow when you give it that energy. It doesn't just sit there and do nothing. It does actually grow. And that's the fun part of it too, is that when you give it consistent energy, it's provable, like this stuff, it actually grows, for sure. But you have to be willing to hold on to it and stay the course. And if you're not going to stay the course, then it just makes sense to not even start to begin with. So I hope that's helpful, and I will see you tomorrow.